welcome to Quietly Talking Movies. My name's Matt, and in today's video we're actually doing something very special indeed. As I've actually mentioned in the introductory video that I've made over like 7 months ago for my first video, I mentioned that I actually collect, except for movies, I actually collect a lot of other items connected with movies, whether it is books, art books, or in fact music. And I somehow it basically kind of like slipped my mind to basically do a little bit of more music related videos. So this is essentially me trying to go back and be true to my word and essentially give you an overlook on the music itself. For me personally, music is a huge part of why I love movies. One of the main reasons why I actually fell in love in movies is basically because of the music. Whether it was music of Hans Zimmer, or basically in my favorite movie of all time is The Lord of the Rings, and the music by Howard Shore, it basically unlocked in me emotions that I've never actually felt before. And I'm quite an emotional person, so in movies essentially, I'm very susceptible to moments of that have actually emotional impact, and that impact is elevated by the music that usually plays during that particular scene. So for example, whenever I see the Rohirrim in charge in The Return of the King, and you hear the music by Howard Shore in that moment, I literally cry. Or basically when you have a moment, from The Return of the King again, my friends, you bow to no one, when Aragorn says that to the 4 hobbits, I'm done for. It's like, I can't even speak about it because I'm gonna cry, to be honest. So all I want to say is that music is a big part of why I love movies, and the soundtracks are essentially the extension of my love for the movies. So I've listened to soundtracks for almost 20 years, I would say. I always had somewhere available like some soundtrack music, whether that was The Lord of the Rings, or later I had the music for Inception, and things like that. I've listened to soundtracks for 20 years and I love them. That's my go-to music. Whenever I actually go out and about, I listen to soundtracks and I just get into the zone and get all the chills, and I relieve all those moments and that are actually in the movies, and basically really it's really emotional for me. But in this particular video, as you can see, I have the magnificent original soundtrack for Dune Part 2, recorded by Hans Zimmer in the vinyl version. I know I am a little bit late for this one, because that album has been already released a couple of months ago, and I got it just now. And the reason for that is it was pretty expensive, and I also was going through a little bit of a CD phase. So essentially what I did is I cancelled my pre-order of the soundtrack and I ordered the CD instead. So as you can see, I have the CD in here of the original motion picture soundtrack recorded by Hans Zimmer for Dune Part 2, released by Watertower Music and Mutant. But I waited, and essentially the soundtrack actually went down in price. I was pretty satisfied with that, and I bought it, like I instantly bought it. I still love vinyl, and I still want to basically have my favorite music in my collection. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of an unboxing for that, and essentially perhaps showing my other music that I have for Dune. So this is the vinyl. It is quite big, and I'm not sure whether it will actually be nice to see in the camera, but hopefully I think I'm going to be able to do like the whole unfolding, because it's a gatefold. Yeah, so let's take a look into Dune Part 2, original soundtrack by Hans Zimmer. So it is one of the thickest soundtracks on vinyl that I have. It is quite thick, as you can see. Normal album is essentially half of this width. So that's the main cover. We're actually getting like some splashes of black and white. I think it evokes almost the Gate Prime sequence in the movie, where you go into the Harkonnen planet, which is almost like monochrome, and you have these fireworks which are actually splashing in the dark, and the fireworks are like white and dark. So maybe that's kind of like similar to that. There is nothing much on the back except for the titles, and then we got Muad'Dib, which is the little mouse, if I remember correctly. So yeah, let's unpack it. It's basically the cellophane is actually sealed, so you can just, there you go, just unwrap it. Let's take that out. Beautiful sound. Okay, so let's get back to the front cover. As you mentioned, you're actually getting the acetate O-ring with this one. So sometimes you're actually getting the acetate O-rings. This one is no exception. You're getting the acetate O-ring, which houses the actual gatefold inside. Beautiful work. So let's take a look at the acetate O-ring. Basically like this, you have Dune, which obviously I think everybody knows that you can read from whichever angle, and it always actually spells Dune. Okay. In the back you actually have just the markings. Okay. Just gonna put it over here. Yeah, so that's the main image. If you unload it with the gatefold, and we have Paul Muad'Dib Atreides with the blue eyes already, and a little bit dark image signifying the change in the character. In the back, we're actually getting the tracks as well as the corresponding numbers on each of the vinyl sides. Altogether, we're actually getting 2 vinyl, and tracks are displayed on all 2 sides of each one. As I mentioned, this is released by Water Tower Music, so this is the Warner Brothers music label. It's Water Tower, but it was specifically made by Mutant, which To be honest, I have maybe 2 mutant releases for soundtrack, and I have to say they're really good at what they do. So, as I mentioned, the music is produced and composed by Hans Zimmer, and we don't actually have any collaboration in that. Sometimes Hans Zimmer collaborates with, say, for example, Lorne Balfe or whoever that may be, or like Benjamin Wolfish, but this time it's just Hans Zimmer. So the tracks are as follows. I don't remember how many tracks are they in total, the total number. These are all the soundtrack titles. So basically it's all of them, but I don't remember the actual number if I have to calculate that. But we're getting Beginnings Are Such Delicate Times, which is a track of almost 8 minutes, over 8 minutes actually. We've got Eclipse, The Siege, Water of Life. Then on side B, we're getting A Time of Quiet Between the Storms, Harvester Attack, Worm Ride, Ornithopter Attack, Each Man Is a Little War, Harkonnen Arena, and last on side B is Spice. On the second vinyl, track C1 is Seduction, Never Lose Me. We've got Travel South, Pull Drinks, Resurrection, Arrival, Southern Messiah, The Emperor, and track 9, Warm Army. And last side on the second vinyl, we got Gurney Battle, You Fought Well, Kiss the Ring, Only I Will Remain, and Lisan Al-Gaib. So there's lots to love about this soundtrack, obviously through the main love theme almost, as Hans Zimmer almost like mentions, it's kind of like a love theme for Paul Atreides and Chani, but yeah, it's kind of like almost like a main theme for the Dune Part 2 as well. So Beginnings Are Such Delicate Times is a beautiful track. At the same time, A Time of Quiet Between the Storms is kind of like another rendition of this. Obviously, Warm Ride, powerful track, classic Dune. And then obviously we got the Harkonnen Arena, where we basically switch to portray, what was his name? Fade Rautha. And then essentially anything from track C3, Travel South, to Pull Drinks, Resurrection, Arrival, Southern Messiah, Emperor, Warm Army, Gurney Battle, anything from Travel South until the last one is just pure powerful music. And just remember the scene, obviously the ending of Dune Part 2 is just so engrossing and it's so epic. So Kiss the Ring is just pure orgasmic power of music, really. And then I really love Only I Will Remain. It's a 6-minute track, which I guess it plays after the credits, I assume, because the moment where Kiss the Ring ends is basically the end of the movie. So the other 2 tracks are kind of like, unrelated to the main storyline of films. But Only I Will Remain, it basically starts with a little bit of a rendition of Beginnings Are Such Delicate Times, and then essentially later develops into this powerful music. And then just, if you have in mind what the film is and what the ending signifies, right? This, along with this title, Only I Will Remain. If you think about it, as well as the holy war aspect, and then in the 5th minute, and the music actually develops into such a powerful motif that I just can't help but have goosebumps, really. yeah, so that is the tracks that we're getting. And this is essentially the whole soundtrack for the movie. There is no expanded soundtrack that Hans Zimmer sometimes makes. There's no additional music that, for example, he made for Dune Part 1. There was, I think, altogether like 3 Dune albums. But this is just the one that you can get for Dune Part 2. Okay, so let's go over like here and let's begin to unfold the gatefold. So this is what we're getting. We're getting pretty spectacular images of the main characters of the film. So we're getting, as you've seen already, the main one was Paul Atreides. On the left side we got Chani, and we got Fade Rautha. That is basically, I can zoom it a little bit. Okay, so that's the gatefold, and basically the gatefold unfolds again. And it essentially goes into that image of a warm ride. So on the left side, the panel, there's nothing inside. It's just pure cardboard. There is nothing inside. But in here we actually have housed the first disc. So let me just cover that. So you can see that first actually might be better if I do it like this. Okay. So that's the first record, and on the cover of it we're actually getting Emperor Shaddam IV. And on the back we're getting the credits and who is actually playing the music along with Hans Zimmer. So as you can see, the music is by Hans Zimmer, it's produced by him. The vocalist that is doing like those powerful like voice in the music that you probably are aware of is the voice of Laura Kotler. We got some vocalists, we got some additional music that's usually cooperate with Hans Zimmer. I definitely remember Steve Mazzaro and Andrei Kavchinsky, and we're getting some of the soloists in here. So if I remember the interviews correctly, the beginnings are such delicate times theme, or the love theme, was essentially developed, and the idea came from Pedro Eustache, who is playing the whirlwinds, dudux, and contrabass and flute. Who is the other person I remember? Definitely the electric cello, Tina Guo, is one of the long-lasting collaborators with Hans Zimmer, and she's usually, whenever there's a cello inside, it's usually Tina Guo. So the Pirates of the Caribbean themes, where we actually get lots of cello, Tina Guo. I don't remember a lot of that. We got some bagpipes, which is by Pipers of the Scottish Session Orchestra, which is very nice. Okay, so let's take a look at the vinyl itself, and I'm happy to confirm that we're actually getting the acid-free, almost like a rice paper inside, so it's not housed exactly like in the paper cardboard cover, because it can actually scratch the vinyl itself. So it's really good that we're actually getting within this the actual protective paper. So this is side A. As you can see, beginnings are such delicate times. It's an 8-minute track, Yeah, so it's quite long. On here, I believe the Eclipse is a 5-minute track, and then the Siege and Water of Life is basically around 2 minutes each. That's the side B. The vinyl is all black, so it's not colorful at all. Perfect. Amazing stuff. Okay, let's get it back inside. Okay, so let's unveil the second panel. So as I said, we got fader urethane here. It unfolds, and this one actually has something inside. So just like this panel was blank, this one actually has something inside. We got another character pose, so we got Mother of Poor Atreides. My gosh, I forgot the name of the character. How could I? I'm sorry. And we got Stilgar on the back, Javier Bardem. And essentially, it's basically a leaflet where we got a couple of like a short conversation between Denis Villeneuve and Hans Zimmer. So we got a little bit of a reading to do about the creation of the soundtrack. So it's just that, just the 2 pages, nothing more. And we unveil this. We got essentially the whole artwork is amazing looking, because we got the whole warm attack essentially from the movie. That's just glorious. And here we go, the second vinyl. In the second vinyl we're getting the Princess Irulan, the daughter of Emperor Shaddam, played by Florence Pugh. And we got some more credits for this one, alongside with thanks. Okay, so as usual, Hans Zimmer thanks his family. And do we actually get anyone here? We've got Denis Villeneuve, Tanya Lapointe is the producer, John Space, Greg Fraser, Joe Walker, so basically the whole cast, as well as the Herbert estate. Okay, here's the second disc. This is actually signed C. There we go. This is the last one, side D, and you can see that the tracks Only I Will Remain as well as Listen Al Gaib are the longest. They are actually 6 minutes. All the others are essentially almost like a 3-minute tracks. But yeah, altogether, as I'm saying, it's a wonderful soundtrack. Every now and again I really love to listen to, so I'm really happy to have it, and I can't wait to actually listen to that again on vinyl, especially like, as I'm saying, like from track C, whatever that was, Travel South. From Travel South onwards, it's just powerful music. Okay, yeah, so this is essentially the whole soundtrack for Dune Part 2. again, this is the Dune soundtrack vinyl, released by Watertown Music, and Mutant. Alright, so now that we have the vinyl already finished, let's talk about the CD. So as you can see, the CD is very much similar in design. We're also getting almost like a slipcover range. It's essentially blank with the title, but we're getting the information. It's Hans Zimmer on the front. Again, we're actually getting pull 3Ds. Here we're getting the same information about the tracks on the back. You can see that the soundtrack on the CD is also split into 2 discs. We got disc 1 and disc 2, which is really good because that means that they didn't compress the music too much. And altogether we got 25 tracks. Yeah, I guess essentially we're getting the same number of tracks on vinyl as well, so it hasn't been downsized. For example, I recently saw that the music for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse on CD and on vinyl is actually abridged. That there are actually some tracks missing because they couldn't be able to fit it all in one disc, or like on the vinyl. Okay, here's the spine. And let's unfold that. Again, we got Honey, Chani, and we got Fade Rautha. Similarly, we're also getting the Warm Ride, but this one is a little bit, or maybe it's not. I think it might be same length. Take a look. Here's disc 1. And here is disc 2. Oops, all black. And essentially inside here, I'm actually getting a little bit of a book cover, and again we got Lady Jessica. Okay, that was her name, Lady Jessica. We got Stilgar in the back. Here we got Emperor Shaddam. Probably somewhere we actually got Princess Irulan. There she is. But essentially it's, again, we got the conversation itself that we got as well over there. And we got the credits as well as the thank yous at the end. So it's actually we're getting the same thing in both cases. Alright, yeah, so that is the soundtrack for Dune Part 2. Now, I guess I might actually got some questions like, why do I even buy the soundtrack in 2 versions? I got the CD and I got the vinyl. Essentially, I get the CDs because they are of higher quality than the vinyl. There's no doubt about it. But I'm not a big audiophile myself, so I basically like to listen on vinyl because it, how to call it, like, because of the fact that you basically have to take care of it. It's almost like active listening, and you have to be present, you have to be aware of the music itself. So it's really nice to actually listen to music on vinyl. And I have a car as well, so usually I buy 2 versions of the music on CD as well, because I listen to the vinyl at home and I listen to the CDs in the car, and I love that. I love that aspect. Okay, So that's the Dune Part 2 soundtrack. So just to actually complete the collection in here, just wanted to let you know I also have the CD version of Dune Part 1. So this is the standard motion picture soundtrack that won the Oscar by Hans Zimmer. This is for Dune Part 1. Alright, this is a standard, and I think I bought it off Amazon, but something actually tells me this is a United States release. It's not available in the UK. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think only Dune Part 1 soundtrack is available on vinyl. And another thing, as I mentioned, that the Dune Part 1 soundtrack was released in a couple of formats. We also got the Dune sketchbook by Hans Zimmer, which is around an hour and 40 minutes of music, which is basically just Hans Zimmer and the team jamming. And I really like that soundtrack because it's kind of like, you know, you have all the themes of Dune, but they also kind of like expanded. Each track is almost like 16 minutes, so it's amazing. So I think one of my favorites is, because that's true power, pure Dune, right? We've got Paul's Dream, but to be honest, like all of them are great. Basically released in those 2-disc versions. Here's disc 2. So, as I'm saying, in the UK we have actually got a vinyl release of Dune for sure, and that release was this vinyl, which was released by Mondo. Okay, so let me actually take it out of the covers and quickly just show you this. Obviously the main subject of the video was Dune Part 2 soundtrack unboxing on the vinyl. Oops. Yeah, so in here we're also getting the acetate O-ring. Okay, very similar to what we're getting with Dune Part 2. It's basically nothing outside of that. We're getting a little bit of there is a name for it, but for this kind of like stuff, an insert, but I don't know exactly the name for it. I know that Radiance is actually doing that with their releases for Blu-rays, right? So it has a name, but I don't know exactly what it is. I'm gonna call it an insert, okay? Just for the time. So we go to Dune Part 1 soundtrack. Music by Hans Zimmer. Original artwork by Greg Ruth. Pressed on 2 color vinyls. Okay. Also available from Mondo, we got the Dune sketchbook. So I guess they did also the Dune sketchbook on vinyl, but yeah, I haven't seen it anywhere. And the Batman soundtrack, because it's almost like 2 hours, it's basically quite huge and it's quite expensive. Obviously the Mondo are expensive. Yeah, so that's the main artwork. As you can see, it is a gatefold, but it is quite slim. It is definitely on the slimmer side compared to the Part 2. Here is the back. And we got all of the track titles. We got Dream of Arrakis, Herald of the Change, Bene Gesserit, Gom Jabbar, The One, Leaving Caladan, Arrakeen, Ripples in the Sand, Visions of Chani, Night on Arrakis, one of my favorite tracks, Armada, Burning Palms, Stranded, Blood for Blood, The Fall, Holy War, Sanctuary. Then we got Premonition, Ornithopter, Sandstorm, Still Suits, and last track, my road leads into the desert. So again, we actually get a gatefold, which actually shows Baron Harkonnen standing over Duke Leto. So just like the other one, I actually also had the gatefolds in here. We don't actually get that in this one. So we're getting just the colours. We go with JC, Lady Jessica. And as far as I know, I basically... No, we actually got original red coming inside. And this is kind of like a transparent sand colour of the vinyl for this one, which is very nice. This is side B. Here's the other one. Got Chani. Credits. Oops. This is side C. And side D. So yeah, that's my collection, let's call it like that, of Dune soundtracks that were released for the Dune movies, both of them. And yeah, I love them both. I like listening to them every now and again. So let's put that in here. It's quite tricky, you know. And let's try to actually put that in. There we go, that's Dune Part 1 soundtrack. So I have lots of covers. I really tend to have my soundtracks protected as much as possible. So I have them, you know, in additional covers, dust covers, like this one. And there we go. Probably I'm going to have the Dune Part 1, Part 2, sorry, covered as well. Despite the fact that it's already covered as nonetheless. So maybe I'm just going to be a little bit crazy about it, and I'm going to put them side by side, Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 soundtracks on vinyl. And I know that the light actually shines very brightly in here. But yeah, there we go. Well, thank you so much for watching. As I said, it's quite a new one for me. I've never actually done a video about music. I'm really passionate about it, nonetheless, just like for the movies. So yeah, please let me know in the comments if you actually like that kind of video, if you'd actually like me to make more or things like that, because I do have, I wouldn't say a big collection of music soundtracks, but yeah, it's growing. But just like with the movies themselves, my collection of music also grows. But I tend to basically buy the music that I really love and I like to listen to every now and again. Okay, so it's not that I'm buying everything there is to listen to. I don't. I basically buy music from the films that I've already seen, and I liked the music in those films. So the collection itself is not that huge, but I do have around 50, I guess, at the moment. So yeah, that's the Dune soundtracks. So alright, well, thank you so much for watching. If you like that video, please click a like, please consider subscribing, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye bye.